Welcome to the Senior Hour. The following is paid programming and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
And welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers In-Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Jean Dorio.
on your hometown station, 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our first guest this morning is Mike Garcia, who's a Republican candidate for the 25th Congressional District. Welcome, Mike. It's good to see
Welcome.
you.
Welcome to the
Barbara.
show.
Good to see you,
Yes,
Doctor. Yeah, thanks
yes.
for having. And thank you for the lovely candle
Well, you're
in a wine
welcome.
glass. And I'm craving oranges and wine at the same time, so I think that's normal for about noon here.
Well, I buy my wine glasses at the dollar store.
Oh, good.
You
well,
can get them for two for $1 sometimes
that's
when
good
they're
to
on
know.
sale.
We'll
So
have to load up
that's
on
where
those.
that's what I make my candles in.
Good. Well, it's
So,
beautiful. And thank
yes.
you very much. Thanks for having me.
Anything I can buy at the dollar store, or the 99 store, to put candles in.
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
buy it.
Yep, absolutely.
Abs-
Especially for stuff like this.
Oh,
It's beautiful.
yes.
You never know. You
No.
would never know.
You never know when you have to light that wick and show us the light, right?
That's right.
There you
Shows
go.
the light,
And
yeah,
running for office,
with a nice orange scent as well.
That's right.
I can
We
smell
like
it over
that.
here.
but in running for office, how are you, as you observe and look at older adults like us
Absolutely.
on the other side of the table here,
Yeah.
how do you intend, Mike, to enhance and assure that we as seniors in the future will still live in our home, will still get health care, will still be provided for, and won't become homeless?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I look at the senior citizens as well as the veterans in sort of the
Yes,
same light, which
absolutely.
is you both the groups have done a tremendous job for this country. They've served this country and instilled in us the values that have led to the successes that our country has been benefiting from, and it's really a contract with our seniors that our government needs to maintain, especially on the Social Security side and Medicare. Those aren't entitlement programs. Those aren't things that are just handouts. Those are things that we all have paid into, and
That's
you all
exactly
now
right.
are benefiting from as a result of that investments that you made over the duration of your entire life. So my thing is, I'm not a political career politician. I've never run for office before, and we'll get into the details of the campaign here in the office. But as an outsider and as just a normal citizen of the Santa Clarita Valley, I've always seen a requirement by government to honor its obligations to our citizens. I don't believe in big government. I believe in small government. But
Good.
this is one of those very particular areas where the government has a responsibility to be good stewards of our money. And then allocate it to us when we are, obligated and entitled to get
to
it. We are, that's a contract with our seniors. So I think that's the biggest thing. I don't want to threaten that in any way. I don't think the Medicare should be touched as well for seniors. But we have to make it easier for senior citizens. As I've been getting educated on Medicare with Part A, Part B,
Part D.
Part D. I mean, it couldn't be more complicated. It's like filing your taxes in some cases.
it's worse.
It's worse, yeah. And
The deductibles and the out-of-pocket costs, and whether you get denied or not in terms of trying to get good health care, it's a swamp out there that we have to clear up.
it's amazing, and the unfortunate reality is that because it's so complicated, there's people who do take advantage of that
Yes.
and really benefit from it financially when others aren't, and that's the shame of it. So simplifying that process, maybe consolidating Part A and Part B, getting to a single deductible system that at
Very
least
good.
we can get to predictable cost as much as we can, a little bit better than we are under the current system. Fixed income senior citizens or fixed income families on disability, the last thing they need are the ups and downs of all the deductibles changing and the bills changing. So as much as we can normalize that, I think that's something that the government should be able to do and provide for our seniors.
A lot of times our seniors are at home, they're getting their Social Security check, their rent goes up 9%, and their Social Security check goes up 0.5%.
Yeah.
So, and so after a while, you're going to be behind.
Yeah.
It might take a few months to a few years, but when that starts to happen, then, they start sliding off the cliff into homelessness.
That's right. Yeah, and I think there's a few takeaways that especially in this state, it's difficult. It's difficult. The cost of living in California is very high. I am a free market, capitalist kind of person. I believe that competition is good. I believe in capitalism. And the bottom line is that if it becomes too unaffordable, we will see a large sort of migration of our senior populace to other states.
They might not be able to afford to move.
And they may not even be able to afford to move.
That's the sad part, where choices could be limited.
Right, exactly.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people, seniors are not, are moving out of
Absolutely.
California
Absolutely.
because of the cost of living.
The cost of living, and I think there's a lot of qualities of life here that are changing and on the decline as well, and taxes are high, and frankly the product that we're getting for that tax in many cases is not what it used to be as a citizen of the state. So
And look at the homelessness situation.
It's terrible.
Oh my goodness.
it's absolutely terrible.
It's in the paper every single day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the why I'm running for. I'm running for the 25th congressional seat, which is Antelope Valley, Santa Clarita Valley, and Simi Valley, but it includes parts of San Fernando Valley,
yeah.
as well as Acton and Agua Dulce in between. But that's a federal congressional seat. But the real reason behind my running is that I don't want to see what's happened in my state happen to my country. And I do truly believe that our nation is at an inflection point right now where we could go one way or the other. And
That's
what I'm
right.
seeing out of Washington right now, especially in this House of Representatives, is effectively California policy on steroids, and we're trending towards that direction. And it scares me. And as a long-term, I've been a resident of Santa Clarita since 1983. I love this valley. I love this area, this district. We've been insulated from a lot of the problems that Los Angeles and San Francisco and the big cities have had, but it's getting closer, and I certainly don't want that to happen at the national
No,
level.
we live in a wonderful city. We really do.
We really do. Yeah.
But
It's
federally, though, I still think, and being in healthcare, I still think the major problem that the populace face in this country is healthcare.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And we have different healthcare than almost every other country in the world. And why we are not adapting and at least looking at, Mike, some of the ways that they are taking care of their citizens, I don't understand. There was a program recently, one of my friends just said even that his family in Europe, they never worry about their health care, that they're going to not get health care. They never worry about it. Here, you have to pay your deductibles. You have to, you get denials. You go to your doctor, and they're gatekeepers, and they're pushing you back from good health care. We have individuals who see their doctor, and they have a medical problem, and it's put off, and then it turns out they have cancer.
Right.
Because the company doesn't, the doctor and their company does not want to pay for an MRI or a
Right.
scan.
Right.
And that's an abomination. As a physician, I've seen our ability to, as doctors, to use our medical education and our experience to help our patients nullified by business in this country. So how do we, as we look at healthcare nationally, Mike, how do we, and that's where you're running on a federal basis,
That's right.
how do we solve this problem?
And by the way, it's not exclusive to just the private sector, healthcare. The VA, for instance, has had troubles in the past with this as well. So the way I look at it is competition is the pathway to improve this. These businesses right, wrong, or indifferent. There's only a handful of options that we have. I've seen my premium, for instance, go up 3x, 3x what it was 5 years ago.
Wow.
My deductible is triple as well. So, and I'm only given 2 or 3 choices, and I work at a very great company with great benefits. I think a big part of it is that we need to allow the patients and the citizens more options, allow them to shop for their health care outside of California, even if they need to. We see it. I'm sorry. We see it at in other industries. I mean, the car insurance business, for instance, has similar total costs in terms of if you're in an accident with a death or an injury, that bill can be several $100,000 just like a medical bill. But because there's so much competition in the auto industry, that we don't see those outrageous premiums. We don't see those outrageous deductibles unless you have serious driving records. But so to me, that's the thing. I think we've got to have less government control. I think anytime the government gets involved in these types of decisions, it ends up adding more bureaucracy, more inefficiencies. And I do believe we need to open up the competition and allow businesses to compete for a quality product, and that'll eventually give us better options.
Do you think, though, that when you look at statistically, I'm a numbers person. Give me the data, and it helps for me to understand how my patients are doing, how our city is doing. But the problem with right now, understanding how that money is being spent is problematic. And other countries spend a lot less of their gross national product than we do. I think it's the worst, closest to us is spending half of what we spend on a yearly basis. And you have to wonder, why aren't we, once again, going back, looking at how other countries doing it? And of course, America is great. We take Ford Motor Company took mass production from the Japanese.
Right.
And we utilize that to become the great nation that we are now.
That's right.
And why can't we do the same thing and take bits and pieces from each country and utilize them for the American people to assure they get good health care and to assure that they don't have to worry about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of bureaucracy imparted by our government right now, and that's a big problem. And as a doctor that in many cases the reward is not worth the risk of going into the practice, and the amount of your insurance premiums is
malpractice is
for
expensive.
malpractice is massive. So
Well, it's interesting. The last time I went back to England to visit family, I got food poisoning and had to go into the hospital. My entire medical was covered. I didn't have to pay a penny.
yeah, the problem, my problem with that is I'm a numbers guy as well, and that eventually gets paid for at some point by someone, right? And there's plenty of examples where countries who have had socialized medicine or things the equivalent of Medicare for all end up becoming fiscally insolvent because of the fact that they've given this away. And
That's right.
The quality of life is better for a short period of time, but then they start cutting costs, and now you're dependent on a government program, which historically those tend to fail and tend to be poorly run with low quality.
Well, that's socialism.
And that's socialism. and
That's exactly right.
That's some of what we're seeing.
In Netherlands, my family comes from Canada, and in British Columbia, they're very happy with the health care that they're receiving, and they're certainly not going backwards. They're still with England, but and how England is doing, Barb, you know better than I, but my friend who comes from the Netherlands, that's socialized, but they're not worrying about their health care. They've got it. And they're paying more taxes.
Yeah,
that's
right.
for sure.
Well,
and
that's what they're really unhappy about. And same with Finland.
But
and
nowadays,
That's right.
that same friend was upset about how the new tax laws has affected him, and he's paying significantly more in his retirement because he's working part-time.
Right.
But he can't maintain. He's going to get another part-time job so that he can pay the out-of-pocket costs.
Exactly right.
that his family is sustaining right now here in this country.
So, and that's what you're effectively squeezing the balloon, right? And the health care may be good, but his tax rate is extremely high. The health care, I'd say, is free. It may not be good. Where I come from is that I've seen a lot of government programs. Myself, I was a government employee, right? So what you get for free, you usually get what you pay for in those cases, and
exactly right.
it's not the high quality that we would want.
And I think we could make it high quality, Mike.
I think we can.
In this country, we have always figured out a way of doing that, but now I think that extracting the profits like some of these companies are doing, unfortunately, and look at the CEOs and the administrators of all these healthcare insurance companies. How much do they make?
Big Pharma,
Big Pharma, they were making billions of dollars, and we're talking about insurance executives. Many of them, the high-level ones, are making not 6 figures, 7 figures easily. And, that money is coming in as premiums that we're all paying at a higher rate, out-of-pocket costs, and it's just getting to be too difficult because they're extracting that out. Other countries just aren't doing that.
So I think we're saying the same thing, but I'll go back to your Ford example, right? In that case, that was a set of small companies at the time. Ford was a mom and pop shop back in the day when he was figuring all this out. But that was the product of a small business enterprise and people thinking outside the box, people thinking about how to get cost out in order to be competitive. If we just take the reins and the bridles off of the healthcare business and allow Company A to compete with Company Z, and now Company A has to worry about it, right? Now they have a competitor, and they have a true competitor. It's somebody who wants that business, is someone who's willing to lower costs, give a better product. Company A will start, lowering their costs and delivering better service and better product.
And that's what we hope happens. But do we need better control to be able to do that in our country? And I don't know the answer to that. I think we have to look at all the countries around the world and then start making that decision. But I just think if we try to do that here, Mike, we're going to be in trouble. So we hope it's in your box to be able to come up with these ideas and solutions.
And that's the thing. We got to look at line by line all of these major programs. Another big issue for me for seniors is elderly abuse. The fact that about 1 in 10 senior citizen is abused either financially or physically or emotionally. But only about 1 in 25 actually report the abuse. And a lot of that is due to either mental issues or intimidation factors. But that's something that I think that the federal government should, every state has their own laws about whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony. I think elderly abuse needs to be level set as a felony across the board, and there's no, right now the laws in California have a 65-year and a 70-year threshold for senior citizens, and the laws change. We just need to make one level and call it a felony. Elderly abuse is a massive problem out here. So
it is. But can we kind of change a little bit? We didn't have a chance to find out
who I am,
about you.
Doing.
We have a very short time before we have to end. So quickly.
I'm from Saugus originally. I went to the Naval Academy in Georgetown. I ended up flying jets for the U.S. Navy. Cool. Came back here in 2009 in the aerospace business. I have a wife, Rebecca, 2 lovely boys, Preston and Jet, and I'm running for Congress because, again, I don't want to see what's happened to my state happen to my country, and we need to protect this little utopia. And the results from the last election really bothered me, and we need to fix those. So.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for coming on, and hopefully we will get to have you on again.
I would love that. And elections are coming up in March, so we've got some time, but we'd love to come back.
That's right. Thanks again, Mike.
Thank you,
it was nice to have you on.
My pleasure.
I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS.
At SCVI, we don't just prepare your child for the real world. We empower them to imagine and build the world they want for themselves. Our tuition-free TK-12 charter school combines project-based learning with extracurriculars from robotics to theater to sports to give your child boundless opportunities to explore who they are. Located just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley, SCVI has the only international baccalaureate program in the area. For enrollment information, including open enrollment options, visit ileadsantaclarita.org.
You worry because your mom and dad aren't as active and are finding it more challenging to live on their own. The answer? Premier Assisted Living Community, Oakmont of Santa Clarita, now leasing. Located on Newhall Ranch Road, Oakmont of Santa Clarita, bringing comfort and luxury to assisted living. Your parents can enjoy 5-star amenities and panoramic views in a world-class community. No other assisted living community has this kind of luxury and amenities in our valley. Visit oakmontofsantaclarita.com.
Worried about paying for college? College of the Canyons is having a free financial aid workshop called Cash for College. Whether you are bound for a community college, four-year university, or private college, whether you are a student or a parent, this workshop is for you. Come to College of the Canyons Cash for College workshop, Tuesday, September 24th at 6:30 p.m. in the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center at College of the Canyons. Visit canyons.edu/money for college. That's canyons.edu/money, the number 4, college.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Hi, I'm Miles McNamara, Certified Senior Advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers and Home Care. Our caregivers help you in your own home. A Comfort Keeper can provide companionship, meal preparation, medication monitoring, assistance with personal care, transportation to doctor appointments, all enhancing your independence and safety in the comfort and privacy of your own home. So if you or someone you love could use a helping hand at home, call Comfort Keepers at 287-4200. That's 287-4200.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
The Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And our guest now is the one and only Miles McNamara.
Drum roll, please.
Yes.
Miles and Miles.
Comfort Keepers in Home Care, one of our sponsors.
What up, guys?
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm well. Well, it's one of my highlights of my month, coming back for my one monthly appearance on the Senior Hour. But, so a couple things coming up. We'll give a kind of an overview for folks who have missed the memo about home care, and then we've got some nice events coming up that benefits our seniors, our family caregivers, Alzheimer's associations, etc. But kind of an overview to our listeners that haven't heard me babble before. Home care is relatively a new industry. I mean, we've been around a couple decades, but so in the scope of things, that's relatively new. The biggest confusion, and I know Dr. Dorio can attest to this, is the between home health and home care. Home health, doctors say, you know what, we need to have someone with a medical degree on our end, check on mom, make sure that wound is dressed, make sure her vitals are taken, make sure, whatever the case is, medical care in the home health. And then they're gone. And then home care is non-medical. My caregivers are very well trained, but they are not nurses. We look at them sometimes as personal assistants, concierges, personal valets, because they're going to help mom and dad with all the activities of daily living, meaning they're going to help them in and out of the shower if they need a helping hand so they don't slip and break a hip or have head trauma. They're going to help them eat nutritious meals by helping them prepare the meals. They're going to do the laundry. They're going to help with light housekeeping. They're going to take them to the doctor's appointments. Everything we do as adult children for our parents when we're stuck in that sandwich generation of being between our kids, our own kids, and our parents, is when we run over to make sure they've taken their medications. We make sure that they've stocked the refrigerator. We make sure that they've eaten. That's what my comfort keepers do, so that the adult children can then go be the children, be the adult children, and spend quality time with mom and dad. Not get there and spend their hour with them doing chores and the laundry and the shopping and all that stuff. And then it also gives our adult kids peace of mind knowing that they don't have to run over there after work. You know, they don't have to call to make sure mom hasn't fallen. They don't have to call to make sure dad took that blood pressure medication. So home care has really revolutionized our seniors' ability to stay in their own home, which is what they want to do.
Ultimately, Miles, that is the most important aspect of what you are talking about right now. Seniors, older adults, all want to remain in their home.
Right.
They don't want to go to a nursing home. They don't want to go anywhere. They want to stay and age in place. That's what home health does, and then home care allows to happen.
Right.
And so we've been working together for many years and understanding this concept. This concept is now rooted in, hopefully, the new master plan for aging in the state of California, that it will allow those older adults and middle age to say, I can live here and I can live here till I die.
Well, and you mentioned it's come on the radar, so to speak. It
very
absolutely
much on the radar.
is, and the biggest example of that is that the CMS, Center for Medicare and Medi-Cal Services, for the first time ever, it's kind of like recognizing the redheaded stepchild. They've recognized the value of home care on the proactive side. I mean, we're great at being reactive. I mean, if mom breaks a hip, if dad cracks his head on the table, whatever the reason, we can be reactive and be there, but we can be proactive to make sure those things don't happen and that mom or dad seriously injure themselves, break a bone, end up in the hospital because of something that could have been prevented. So the CMS has now said, you know what? We're going to start covering home care.
It's about time.
Yeah, so it's not full-fledged yet, so I don't want the listeners to go running out and calling their rep right now and saying what. But 2019 was sort of a beta year. They're kind of letting the Advantage plans kind of pick and choose what they want to do. I know Kaiser's sort of leading the field and paying for some discharge to home hours and that type of thing. And I think that at some point it's going to be a full-fledged covered benefit by Medicare because, and I think I've mentioned on the shows with you guys before, but it bears repeating, is that in the proactive world, back in the day, Medicare and other insurances used to not pay for the gastric bypass surgery. You know, it was an optional surgery and they're not going to pay for it. And then they said, well, wait a minute. If we paid for that now and our patients or clients or whatever, customers, if you will, because it is a business, lose 100 pounds and all these other morbidity type disease possibilities are diminished, diabetes, neuropathy, whatever. Yes. Look at the money we're going to save, and let's not ever lose sight of the fact that it's a business, unfortunately. Look at all the money we can save if we pay, and I'm just pulling this out of my hat like a rabbit, $10,000 for this gastric bypass surgery. Today, we're going to save $500,000 down the road because we've just prevented all of these obesity-related diseases. And I'm sure you see that all the time, Doc.
All the time, yep.
Well, my girlfriend had that gastric bypass, and she had it quite a few years ago. And the insurance didn't cover very much at all.
But that was probably when they were just tipping their toe in the water.
It had to be out of her pocket.
Yeah.
Even though she did have insurance, but it paid so little.
How long ago was that?
This was a good 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah. That was about when they were making the change. So they paid the sum, but they sat in the bean counters, and again, it's a business, unfortunately.
Yes.
The bean counters said, hey, look at all this money we're spending because of obesity-related disorders.
Right. And there are a lot of obese people.
Yeah. It's kind of like investing in the stock market. You put in $50,000 today and you've got $3 million when you want it. So I think that's in the reverse is what the insurance company said. Let's spend $50,000 now and we're going to save $1 million down the road because of hospital and amputations and diabetes and insulin and all this other stuff.
And ultimately, though, the quality of life of your friend has probably been enhanced. Yes,
Oh,
they may be
absolutely.
saving money, but their quality of life has been enhanced. And that's what we're trying to do right now in this community and all over, because when you live better, stay in your home, you're more comfortable, your health is better, psychologically you're better. Across the board, you survive.
Right.
And because you can, the costs are less, but the psychologic improvement and sustainability is clearly maintained when we have that perspective and look at it now in a different way that Kaiser and other healthcare organizations are doing right now.
Right. And quality of life is the biggest thing.
Well, that's true. And in Russ's case, he was not going to a home.
Right.
Absolutely refused.
Right.
And that's when I had to get in-home care. And it started on a very limited basis overnight because he was not sleeping in his bed because he could never get up and down. He was sleeping in his chair, which when he sat up, he could get out of it. But it was a lot easier because the chair sat him up.
Yeah.
But in any case, I had to finally resort to having 24/7 care.
Right.
And it was a lifesaver.
And it's important to talk about that for a minute because we've talked about in prior shows about the roadmap. How does the journey of aging place looks for somebody? And obviously, Barbara and Russ did that, is that you have to look down the road, decide. Some people want to be in an assisted living facility. No one ever voluntarily goes to a skilled nursing facility, so that's the thing.
Right.
But and we'll come back to that in a minute. But and who knows? And start doing your own research about what Medicare and Medi-Cal and some of the other Advantage plans will cover for home care. But you have to start planning because Barbara and Russ had the ability to pay for home care because right now it's very costly. And, as insurance steps up to pay privately, it's very costly. But, so what I tell my adult kids all the time, and it's really hard, is don't get out over your skis by saying to your parents, I promise, Mom, I will never put you in a home. Because that might be a promise you can't keep in that home care is out of pocket. You just may not have the money yet, and if insurance doesn't cover it. Then if the acuity level of your loved one gets to a point where they need 24-hour eyes-on care and you've got to work, you've got, so now you're bound in this predicament of making this promise that you now are appearing that you can't. Yeah.
Yes.
And so then you see the guilt and you see the regret and you see, so don't make promises without doing your research first. But again, as we age, we're going to need more and more help and care. Sounds kind of crass, but I always say, ain't none of us getting out of this alive. So at some point, you are going to need care. You are going to need a caregiver. I'm sorry, that's life. I don't think I'm the first one to bring that, as bearer of the bad news. But don't make promises you can't keep. Have that conversation with your parents of what does that journey look like. Some may say, I want that cruise ship on land. I want to move to an assisted living. I want to be there. Some may say, and going back to what you said earlier, Doc, about quality of life, if they want to stay in their own home, I think data has shown that health, both mentally and physically, decreases at an exponential level when someone's taken out of their home and put in an assisted living or a skilled nursing or board and care against their will.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
What I foresee, though, in the future, I foresee 10 years, 25 years, I don't know. But what I hope that we will, as we move forward in our health care, that we will be able to keep people in their homes even at a nursing home level. Now, when I say nursing home level, go to any nursing home.
It's a pretty low bar, Doc.
Yep. And that's our problem. That bar is real low, and that's why I know that as I foresee how we can give care, we should be able to keep people in their homes and provide a team experience for them to remain in their homes. Now, it might mean a slight move into a combined area, but I'm not seeing nursing homes being nursing homes like we have now. I think we might have a few left, but most of them will be in congregate living situation, or it's going to be in your own home. That, and I think with all the fraud and the waste that we see in Medicare and Medi-Cal, the money saved in making sure that doesn't happen could ultimately then pay for what I'm talking about right now.
Right.
But, you know, we have to match it up, the apples and oranges, and equate them and figure out how we're going to do this. But I think home care, home health is going to always be there, but home care is going to sustain this country.
It's the third stool. It's the third leg of the stool.
Exactly.
If you ask me, I mean,
Absolutely,
it's going to be so instrumental, and it's the kind of thing. And I know we have a lot of seniors that listen to the show, so this is no disrespect to them, because if you're listening to this willingly, you're not who I'm talking about. But for our adult children who are listening, is when you're looking down the road like this, and you're making the most difficult transition in the history of man, in that you are going to have to start parenting your parents. And at some point, your parents are no longer, because of cognitive impairment or what have you, or no longer making the wisest decisions for their best interest. So keep that in mind. I can't believe how sad I feel when we start a new client who has broken a hip or has some sort of a head trauma, and the adult kids sheepishly look at me and says, I knew Dad needed this, but he just said no.
All the time.
And you can't scold them, but you can't say, then why the devil did you take no for an answer? It's like, and again, we have the circle of life, and I mean no disrespect by this analogy. You have the circle of life in that if you have a 2-year-old toddler who wants to run out and play in the street, and you say no, and they won't take no for an answer, do you let them go out and play in the street? And it's the same with our parents as they start to have some cognitive impairment, maybe dementia, maybe some issues that's starting to approach their thinking skills, and they say no. Well, I'm sorry, you can't take no for an answer. If you as an educated adult know that there's imminent doom down the road, you don't say, well, Dad said no. You don't do it.
Yeah,
No, that's very true.
The problem is they're your parents.
Well, that's just it.
A month ago on the show, I talked about our mother who was 92 and still driving, and how we were taking the battery out of the car so that she couldn't drive, and she'd get AAA to put the battery back in, and that just kept happening. And finally, my brother went in to take the battery out, and she had set up a sequential alarm system so that, you know, he opened the door and the alarm went off, and he couldn't disarm it, and so we were stuck. But
she outfoxed you.
Absolutely. So, and you know, we discussed the issue of being 92 and driving, and she said, you know, she factually, face to face, said, I'm going to be independent. You're taking my independence away, and that's not going to happen. But she did relinquish the car eventually. We were thankful for that. But that took a while, Miles, to be able to look at your mom and say, no, you can't do this anymore, because and even now, she's 97, and I have the utmost respect for her. When she says, turn it on country music, PBS, so I can, you know, watch that show tonight. This was last night. I just get up and change that channel right away, so that she can watch your show.
But that's why I prefaced this whole conversation started by, it's the hardest transition you'll ever make is parenting your parents.
Oh,
but you bring up a good point, because we were just talking to our favorite Lori out front. I was before the show, is because you have to be respectful. You can't be a bull in a china shop. You can't be an a-hole. When your parents are now becoming a danger to themselves or others because of their driving, what can someone do as an adult child in the scope of using their physician, using the DMV, using some other sources? Because we know our parents are always going to react to us as their child, their daughter or their son. what can adult child do to get DMV to say, hey, you know what, Mr. Smith, come on back. We need to evaluate you, and have the DMV get involved where they're like, we're not renewing your driver's license. How does one do that? Have you been asked? Have you been approached by
all the time? This happens to physicians because they're asking us to evaluate, to fill out the DMV form, and of course then we become the bad guy with the patient that we're playing a role in taking away their.
But better
driver's
you
license.
than the adult kids.
So, absolutely.
So what would you say to our listeners?
Sometimes I say better the adult kids than us because it's a reality that they should be taking care of. What I think the DMV should do, I've said it before, they should have simulators. And the simulators is like computer-wise. You sit in the car, hook your seatbelt up, and start to drive.
Agreed. But right now.
And it gives you a numbers. And when our seniors and all of us know you don't pass, you get a F, you fail. And if the computer says you fail, I think there's more acceptance by those seniors to say, okay, here are my car keys.
No, I agree, and that should happen. But right now, to our listener right now who is holding their breath every time mom gets behind the wheel, what do you tell them? What would you say to right now, today? Because what you said is a great pipe dream. Let's hope that happens. But we've got adult kids who are right in peril right now because they don't know what to do. Does the DMV do something if you call them? If they reached out to the DMV and said, listen, my dad will not listen to a bloody word I say and he's going to get someone killed, will they then contact the dad and say, come in for a test?
Absolutely, they do that.
Okay, so then
the
we've got to
government
put
has
together
played,
a
state
plan.
of California plays a role, and that's part of the plan that we do utilize to get the keys and get them off the street. Yes.
And all due respect, as an adult kid, I'd rather be pissed off at you than me. I mean, if you've got to be if you've got to be the bad guy, and I say, "Gosh, Dad, I don't know, Dr. Dorio said that, we've got, sorry, because I got to go to Thanksgiving dinner. You don't."
Sometimes I do.
Well, it's interesting because I had to make that decision for Russ because his legs were not working properly. And fortunately, his license had expired, and he wanted to go renew it, but he had to take a driver's test, and to renew it. And I said, Russ, let's just think about this. You will not pass the driver's test. Why don't we just go there, get an identification card instead of a driver's license? And I finally I talked him into it, and that's what we did. Because he could not drive anymore.
Well, yeah, because
he wanted to.
The DMV doesn't get your medical records. Because I was just telling Lori again this up front. My mom lost 5 toes, had open heart surgery. And guess what she got in the mail?
Driver's renewal.
Her renewal to her driver's license. It's like, are you?
Exactly
I think we're supposed to take
right.
a break.
Yeah, we need to take a break right now. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS.
Choosing the right copy service was a top priority for John Hayes, owner of Hayes Plumbing in Santa Clarita. John's glad he called Sean Milligan at Professional Copy Service.
Well, once we found Sean at Professional Copy Service, we've been very, very happy. We started using him right after our factory warranty had expired on the current copier that we had purchased, and Sean and his guys have been far and above, better than the factory warranty service.
Professional Copy Service, 299-5756. 299-5756. The only authorized Canon dealer for sales and service in Santa Clarita for Santa Clarita, Professional Copy Service.
We try to keep everything we can in this valley. We shop local ourselves, and we try to use any local merchant as possibly can.
Call Sean Milligan at Professional Copy Service, 299-5756.
Call Professional Copy Service immediately. They'll save you a lot of time and get your office staff back up to full production.
Professional Copy Service, Santa Clarita's only authorized Canon office equipment dealership. Ask about our free on-site demos.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch, full menu, and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
I never thought I'd be looking for an assisted living home until Mom got sick. Suddenly, there were questions that I didn't have answers to, and only limited time to find the answers. What facility could take the best care of Mom? Then my mother's social worker gave me a brochure for assisted living locators and informed me that assisted living locators is recommended by more healthcare professionals than any other agency.
Call Shannon at Assisted Living Locators, 544-1004. That's 544-1004.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Welcome to the Senior Hour. The following is paid programming and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220, 98.1 FM, KHTS. And we're speaking, yeah, I know, it was a mouthful. We're speaking with Miles McNamara of Comfort Keepers in Home Care, one of our sponsors.
Hey, guys.
And, we're having Caregiver Resource Day coming up this Saturday. Why don't we just talk about that for a moment?
Absolutely. It's an annual event that we have at the Senior Center. Well, let's preface it with the fact that the family caregiver in this country, around the world actually, but in this country is the unsung hero. Unless you are a family caregiver, you don't really understand your predicament because you think you're the only one on that island. You think you're the only one that sometimes are, you're guilt-ridden that why do I can't take care of mom right, I can't take care of my spouse right, whatever the case may be. But they've tried in the past to put a dollar figure on the magnitude of unpaid family caregivers, and it's in the billions with a B, like $56 billion a year of unpaid wages for the unpaid family caregiver. And a lot of folks, they don't, as I said earlier, don't even realize they are a caregiver. But there's a very low bar for that qualification. If you're calling in to check on someone, if you've got a routine to make sure somebody's well-being is good, you are a caregiver. And then, of course, there's the higher level where you are hands-on, personal care, what have you. And you are not on an island. You are one of a billion-dollar industry. So this annual event at our senior center is going to be at our new senior center that's called Bella Vita. And it's this Saturday, the 21st. It used to just simply be called Caregiver Resource Day, but now it's called Knowledge is Power, Aging with Dignity Symposium. And it really is an all-day event. Well, not all day, but from 9 a.m. to 2:30. And we have speakers, we have subject matter experts, we have vendors that are supporting this event that will be at the Resource Day. To show you what's out there in the form of resources for seniors and caregivers and home care and hospices and home health and other peripheral vendors and services that are available to you for that event that we talked about. All my segments so far is keeping our seniors in their home safely. So there's 3 keynote speakers there throughout the day. The title is called Caregiving and the Master Plan for Aging. That pretty much covers everything we've talked about today. But Laura Trejo, she's the general manager of the Los Angeles Department on Aging and Caregiving. She's going to talk about exactly that. Then we also have an update from Freddie Siegel-Gidden from the Alzheimer's Association. She's going to talk about the Alzheimer's disease research update. Where are we today? Because 90% of our seniors that are needing care have some sort of cognitive impairment, dementia, what have you. So she's going to kind of give an update. Where are we? And then there is an Alzheimer's walk coming up in October that we'll talk about next time. And then our third and last speaker is going to be Ray Steinberg. He's a geriatric psychologist, and he's going to be talking about working with older adults their families, and their caregivers. So this Saturday,
Wow.
9 a.m. at our senior center. You can call the senior center at 661-259-9444. Come on down. There is a $10 cover that covers the expense of the materials that you'll be getting. But other than that, it's well worth it. Come on down and call the senior center. Shout out to me. But it's this Saturday, 9 a.m.
Great, Miles.
That's a great full day.
It is.
Wow.
And just the subject matter experts, because I've always been involved in creating and being on the committee, and wasn't quite involved this year because of conflicting board meetings I had. But we always try to address where the rubber meets the road. I mean, a lot of times you come in and you hear all this 30,000 foot level stuff where, you hear data and you hear facts and you hear this. But you know what? They're going home that day and have issues that they don't know how to deal with. That's why I call it where the rubber meets the road. The hands-on care for their mom or their spouse or their, adult child that's disabled or for whatever the case may be. I don't want to sit here and listen to data and facts and useless remedies. I want to know what I can put to use this afternoon when I go home. I'm about to pop, and we talk about caregivers not taking care of themselves. You can't drink from an empty cup. So the thing is, we've talked about this before. So when you're in an airplane and if God forbid something goes wrong and they say those oxygen masks drop, put your oxygen mask on first before you assist others. Why? Because you're going to pass out if you don't. So caregivers have to take care of themselves.
Absolutely.
We don't want you passing out.
And they have to stay refilled.
When you know that you have someone to take care of and be there for them, you have to take care of yourself.
Right. And the data shows that family caregivers...
I've experienced it.
The data shows that caregivers most often pass away before the person they're caring for.
Yep, absolutely.
Because of the stress, because they're not taking care of themselves, because they're not eating well, they're not, whatever the case may be.
That's right.
So take care of yourself. There's no less important of a job than a family caregiver. You're not on an island. Come on down to the Senior Center, Bella Vita, this Saturday at 9 a.m. There's resources, there's speakers, and there's support groups at our Senior Center. Come on down.
It's
9
fantastic.
o'clock this Saturday.
Yes.
Everybody needs to be there.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Miles. For
My
all
pleasure.
the information. Thank you for pushing aging in place and what we need to do and foresee for our seniors. We are sponsored by Miles McNamara, Comfort Keepers in Home Care, and Advanced Audiology. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.